have been in so much trouble, Simon, if you'd not pressed record.
I would have been in so much
You've
trouble.
been saved there.
Thank you for reminding me. Yes, we have over 200 videos now on our AWA YouTube channel of various different meetups and things over the last 5-6 years, and this will also be one of them.
Yeah.
But of course, you can't beat the live event.
Definitely. Yeah, we'll have a Q&A session at the end, so we will also answer some questions from the audience based on what we will share with you. And it's always good to see some familiar faces again. Lots of people, good people from different places that we have met either in courses or in events, conferences. So good, so good. And good to know that you are well and safe in these crazy times, crazy times. Okay.
Brilliant. So just wait one more minute, just let people come in and then we'll begin. Great, well it's actually 5 past, so let's begin. I'm going to do a short intro and then I shall hand over to our hosts. What I'll do is I'll share my screen a second, so hopefully you can all see my screen and the lovely faces of our hosts there. And so this is about becoming an expert in Agile coaching. So if that wasn't what you were expecting, then either join because it's awesome, or feel free to leave now. Hopefully we're all in the right place. The first part of the intro, I'll do intro to the host in a second. I just wanted to, most of you have probably been on AWA classes by the looks of everybody's names in here, just skimming through, probably, so most of you know that our mission is really about making working life better across the planet. And we've been on this mission now for 6 or so years, and coaching has always been, or certainly in the last 4 or 5 years, has been an absolute key ingredient in changing the face of work on the planet. And it's about taking that stance, really, about inviting change. And we really do need this change across the planet, of a different way of thinking, a different way of being, not only in our workplace, but across the political sphere as well. So these kind of skills, which we'll hopefully talk about tonight, are they're so intrinsic in the mission of making working life better, and indeed making all life better, and life on the planet as well. So very much in alignment with our mission tonight. I wanted to just let you know about a couple of other things that we've got going on as well. The first thing is something which we've been working on for a couple of years, or probably 3 or 4 years now, which is really the Enterprise Agile Coach program as well. So this is another cohort program, which I'm not going to talk too much about, but you can get in contact with Gary or myself, or look at our website for a bit more details. But this is around the whole enterprise scope of coaching. We run a 9-month program. The next one will be starting in February. So welcome to sort of check that out if you're interested in enterprise coaching. The next thing we'd like to share with you is something which we've developed with Agile People. So this is an Agile People class run by Michaela and myself in January. And this is purely for HR people. So this is how to support a transformation from HR. What do we do from a human resources perspective? So if you or any of your colleagues at work are struggling with HR challenges to do with agility and taking a particular AWA stance on wanting to make a transformation, then please let them know, because I think this is going to be quite a special class for people to get their heads around that particular function. The next thing is, of course, what we'll be talking around tonight, around the ICAgile cohort, around the team coaching, but I'm not going to say any more around on that, because that's what we'll be talking about this evening. So I'll leave this one alone. But now I'd like to just very briefly introduce hosts. So all 3 of our hosts I've known for well, a number of years, I guess, quite a few years, and really have been the absolute backbone of AWA of the coaching and the experience that all three of them have brought over these last years has been absolutely instrumental in not only developing this program, but really the way that we've been thinking and the way that we've been developing our approach at AWA. So very quickly, David, hello David, author of a fantastic book, and maybe more than one book, is it David? Or is there another one coming out soon?
Yeah, quick plug, no, I'm joking. Yes, of course, there's always another book coming out, Simon.
How could you possibly fit so much expertise in one book for such an amazing teacher coach? So we've known David for many years, and cannot speak more highly of anybody in this space. Rafa, we must have worked together for years now. We've co-trained together. I remember coming over to Portugal and being treated to some fantastic Portuguese food and enjoying many lunches with restaurant.
Many long lunches. Lunches here in Portugal tend to last much more than a course can take. 1 hour and a quarter is the minimum, so it's kind of like a logistical nightmare to adapt.
Fantastic experience. So thank you for hosting me there. So also Rafa's experience of coaching and training and teaching and facilitating is absolutely second to none. So really happy to have you here. And Louria, so we've known each other a little bit less time, but we've spent quite a lot of time together over the last must be at least 7-8 months, I guess. And there is pretty much nobody that I know who is so amazingly has the amazing ability as a coach to be able to get to the heart of the matter, to be able to really give those questions which really make you think and open you up and open teams up. And it's been absolutely fantastic working with you on the enterprise work. And again, what was the first expert Agile coach amongst us here, and has helped guide us through the process of accreditation as well. So really welcome you here as well. So thank you.
That was like the best intro ever. So all should have an introduction. Everybody should get this. So if you don't have it, because it makes you feel amazing. Thank you, Simon.
Are you going to do the other 84 people on the call, Simon?
If I had time, I would love to. That's my kind of intro. I'll hand over to you guys because obviously you've been working on this program now for a long time, and you're the best people to be able to introduce this. So over to the three of you. Thank you for taking the time to spend that time this evening or morning or afternoon, wherever you might be in the world. Thank you.
Yes, thank you all for coming on. So not just building this, but also going through an experience like this. So we're going to talk about our experiences as well as what you can do and to have some experience. So when I went through it, we're going to talk more about it later, but I went through it recently, and it made me realize that I'm leaving out or often leaving out the most important part of me when I'm coaching. Right? My number one core value. This experience made me realize that I change when I'm doing this coaching stuff, and it's about these kind of stories for us to explain what kind of development and transformation can occur on these courses, as well as actually about the logistics of how you do it, how you can come on it, when is it starting, and all of those kind of things. So we're going to tell our personal stories. We're actually going to kind of quiz each other a little bit as well and get us to explain about our experiences, because they were all quite different. And so it's not only the things that we learned from it, but also things that we realized we were missing or that we took for granted or not giving enough value and things like this. But we're going to set the stage a little bit. So Louria is going to talk about who's this webinar for, because we want to make sure that actually it's useful for you for this time tonight or this morning or whatever time zone you're in. Louria, that was me handing over to you. Okay.
I got that. I take a moment to breathe. That's just part of who I am. So why this webinar, right? I talk to so many coaches when I'm coaching them, and some of them tell me, I feel like an imposter. Like, good. And they're like, why? Well, you recognize that you feel like an imposter. This course helps you go from imposter to confident in who you are, in your strengths, your edges, and your growth areas. Have we all struggled, oh my goodness, to create trust? Yes. In teams? Yes. In leaders? Yes. This helps you. Where do I start? Is it about me? Is it about them? Helps you go from trying to struggle to create trust to gaining trust and being okay in that journey. Handling conflict. If you tell me you've never handled conflict, I would say you've never coached a team or talked to a human being. So it helps you go from stopping handling conflict to recognizing it and being able to move through it to another level. Buy-in. Oh my goodness. Everyone's trying to force buy-in. Like, you cannot force buy-in. It is a point where they start to listen, and then they start to consider, and then they say, you know what, I'll try this out. So we go, how do we use our listening and coaching skills, gain buy-in, and what's stopping us? I call this thing losing a bit of myself, is being in the matrix. It's like, anyone who's not from America, is that matrix story where you're like in that zone and you can't see anything. Now you're in the swirl and you don't know who you are, and you lose your ethics, you lose who you, I don't want to be a coach. We help you stay in your stand and in your stance of who you are and why you're doing this, and to hone in so that you can see who you are, so that you can be better for the organization, and most importantly for yourself. And we all want to excel, right? So you have your community, you have people, you have a whole cohort to help you with this. And so that's what we're here to do, to help you excel on your journey, not on the journey we think is best for you. And Rafa, you can take this down.
Yes.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you too.
And who am I, right? A lot of you have not seen me. You don't know who I am. I'm just this lady that I haven't taught any of those courses. We have taught them in other companies, but I haven't taught for AWA. Well, my name is Louria Lindauer. I live in San Diego, California, but I am a Midwest, I will tell you, Midwest girl in a California world. And that's just a totally different culture, just so you know. It's just very interesting. But anyway, I'm an expert in ICAgile. I've been that for a while. I've taught and helped companies through enterprise agile journeys, so many of them. And I still lived. So if any of you are going through this, I actually lived through it. It was crazy. I'm an entrepreneur because I can't live in that world. So I come out so I can breathe. And I have a daughter and I have a son. And one thing that I love to do every single day is that I love to do one big laugh. So I'm just going to share something with you really, really quick so that you can see a better part of me. Can you guys see this?
Yes.
We can just see a black square at the moment.
Yeah.
Oh, you can't see?
No,
Can't see it? Okay, hold on one second. Because I want you guys to see.
Yes.
Oh,
Yes.
Now we can.
Okay, are you ready?
We're ready.
That is the best part of me. That's my daughter. And that's what makes me smile every day. And I'm going to pass it off to Rafa.
Awesome. Wow, it could not end with a better note, Louria, because I also recently, not so recently, 4 years ago, became a father, and that changed my whole perspective about life, and especially the work that I was doing. It made me question my career, the way I was doing things, and as I learned how to create a better relationship with my daughter, and I literally went to study about parenting and conscious parenting, I realized how I could apply this also when working with teams, when teaching other people in my professional coaching. And I'm at this moment in my career when I'm trying to put together all the pieces of myself to make it a whole. So I'm currently in a journey to mix surfing, which is one of my passions, with coaching. So I'm trying to create a blend between surf and coaching. I have an experimental session, the first one this Friday. I'm going to give a coaching session in the beach with a wetsuit. So this is another part of me that's normally not present in the courses. And parenting also made a huge change in my way of being. Other than that, as Simon beautifully said, I've been, I would say, in love with AWA since I did the first course with them back almost two and a half years ago. And I said to Simon at the time, Simon, let's bring those courses to Portugal, because at the time there was nothing at the same level here. So that started the whole relationship with them, and thankfully we have been co-creating a lot of stuff, doing a lot of interesting things, and I could like to continue and would like to continue like this. And one of the person that I've met throughout this journey was Mr. David Lowe, who was starting also this path as a coach and a facilitation trainer at the same time. So David, back to you. We cannot hear you, mate, sorry.
I'd love to get my passion, one of my passions, into a similar thing like your surfing. So I love wine. For lots of you might know this, you've been on a physical course. I have not found a way of bringing wine and coaching together yet, but there will be one day, I'm sure. So yeah, like I have from business coach and a trainer. I did a postgrad a few years back in coaching, and it was such an amazing experience that I've been trying to fight my way back to college. And my big news is next year I'm going to start a doctorate in coaching and mentoring, but with specific research into how humor is used in coaching and mentoring, which we'll come back to a little bit later on. And so, yeah, that's my journey so far. And this expert level was an amazing step in that journey of looking and finding out about myself, which we're going to talk more about in a little bit. So what are we going to talk about? Let's have a look at a quick agenda. After you've shared that, thank you. So first of all, one thing, we are going to talk about what is an expert, and what is an expert, more to the point, in Agile coaching according to ICAgile and for this course. Louria is then going to grill Rafa and I about our experience that we had and our successes and not so successes, which we will be talking about. And then the tables will be turned, and Rafa and I will interrogate Louria about what it's like to go through her process that she had, because we had very different experiences. We're then going to look at what you're going to get, or you can get from this this expert in Agile coaching cohort program, and then we're going to have a Q&A session. And what I'm going to do now is introduce the tool for this, because you might have questions throughout this, and rather than you having to find a piece of paper and scribble them down, there's nothing to stop you actually asking the question. We will only deal with them at the end, but you can put them in now. And we're going to use Slido for this. So for those of you who don't know, if you grab your phone, or you can do it on your laptop or your computer, but it works well on a phone, go into slido.com, and it will ask you for a code. And I believe, Rafa, I did ask you this a second now, I believe the code is AWA-webinar. Is that correct?
Exactly.
Okay, so if you open that up now, so Slido, and then the code is AWA-webinar. We'll put it in the chat as well so that you can see it. And then you can start putting the questions in at any point throughout. And you can also vote on other people's questions. The most popular questions we'll answer first, and we will work down the questions until time runs out. Not time completely runs out, time in this webinar runs out.
Yeah. There is a QR code. If you want to use it on your mobile phone, just point to the screen and you will be automatically joining.
Thanks, mate. Right. So
yes.
I believe that is our agenda. So let's pick the first one, which is, what is an expert?
Yes. What is an expert? Yeah. So I did some Googling back when I started this journey, because I wanted to try to find out, like, what does it mean to be an expert? And the description is not that far from common sense or logical reasoning. So both words, expert and expertise, they all come from the same Latin word, which is, and pardon my Latin pronunciation, expediti. Did you like the tone there, Mr. David Lowe? Almost Italian tone. And expediti actually means to try. So at that moment, as much crazy as it sounds, a light bulb came to me. So an expert is someone who tried a lot. And we talk a lot about with teams, which is to fail fast, to learn fast. So to be able to create a fail-safe environment, to try different ideas, to do A/B experiments. But out of a sudden, when I was thinking about my journey as an Agile coach, I was forgetting that I too would have to try things, and I would have to fail at things, and I would have to be sometimes right about it or sometimes wrong about it. And only through that journey of trying, I may someday get to the expert level. So you cannot become an expert by sitting on the bench, by reading the theory. You need to try and you need to fail. And I know this from surfing. I know how demanding can be the learning curve from this. So I thought, okay, so I just need to try more. And when we went to see what ICAgile thought was an expert in Agile coaching is, it just proved the point. In a nutshell, what an expert in Agile coaching is, it's someone with a proven record of trying a lot and failing a lot. And not only having the practical experience on the Agile ecosystem, be it with teams or coaching teams or even being a member of the team, but the expert in Agile coaching needs to excel in the 4 main competencies of an Agile coach, which is professional coach, facilitation, teaching, and mentoring. On top of that, there's a 5th competency, which is the ability to choose the right competency to use depending on the context. Example, if you have a really low mature team and you engage in only professional coaching stance, will they actually be ready to learn something? Or do they need some mentoring first or even some teaching, so that when they get more maturity, then you can engage more into that professional coach or either more facilitator stance, which are totally different in a sense. On one side, we have this process mastery of coaching and facilitation, and the other side, we have this more content mastery of teaching and mentoring. So it links with the trial. You need to try and you need to fail to learn. So basically following the same principles that we defend and we tell our teams about it. So after understanding a little bit of what an expert is, especially according to ICAgile, me and David at the same time, we got into this journey of, okay, so we have been teaching these courses. After some time, the expert level is the next logical step to it. So that's when our troubles began. So I'm not going to talk more in first person per se. Let's let Louria make the questions, because she has another perspective on this journey of achieving expertise in Agile coaching. It's up to you, Louria. Shoot your questions.
You guys ready? Get ready. David, what was the journey like for you going through this by yourself?
Okay, so I spent months preparing, many months preparing. So as Rafa said, there were loads of elements. The teaching, held the teaching, recorded the teaching, had planned it for ages beforehand. How you have to dissect the teaching as well to work out, what worked well, how you did this sort of thing. So the massive amount of documentation on the teaching part. Same for facilitation. I was quite nervous about those, but I put in the hours and made it pretty thorough. Coaching and the mentoring, it's something I was doing a lot, and so I was a bit more confident in those than the other parts in terms of it was a live demonstration, right, with a panel of people. And I was pretty confident, right? Louria, I got loads of people to do coaching sessions with me, so I could kind of make sure I improve. thing I was really struggling with is it had to be in a certain amount of time, and I was quite struggling to get through the whole process in that, quite demanding. But I was pretty confident, right? I think it was fair to say, Louria, after our last session, I was pretty confident, right?
Yes, it was.
Yeah.
It's someone who went through it. It was quite amusing on my end how confident he was about.
Because then I failed. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh my goodness. Hafa, what did David failing make you think on your journey? Because you went after him, right?
Yes, yes. So because of pure logistical reasons, I was like lining myself to go through the accreditation after David's, because I had to sort out some details about my certification in coaching and etc. But I know David, and I have been training and working with him with a long time. So I know how high his level of coaching is. When he comes to me and said, well, there's good and bad news. The good news is that I passed on full marks on the teaching and the facilitation piece. And I said, yay, congratulations. And the bad news is that I failed on the coaching and the mentoring. And I said, wait, what? You failed? And then I start wondering, okay, so if David has failed and I know his level of expertise, I should start be worried about my own. Like, will I be able to actually pass? So at that moment, I kind of like freaked out for a moment, say, wait, this is a paid call. And not only that, AWA was also supporting me to go through this accreditation. I did not want to go failing, especially knowing the level of demand there was in that call. And some things that we heard from that call was that the failure rate was almost like, I think 80%. Like I heard some people saying like 80% that attend this accreditation call with the panel of experts fail. So I was starting to get worried, but there was no like, there was water under the bridge. So David had an amazing idea. So I just took along with what David planned to do.
Just for the record, the 80% failure rate didn't make me feel any better.
Exactly.
The funny thing is, you guys, what they're talking about is their journey when they did it on their own versus a cohort. And so it was very interesting because I knew by, talking to them and coaching that David would fail because I knew how hard it was. I didn't know that he was good, but they were looking for something, that secret sauce that you have that people don't pull out. They do the expert thing and not the human thing. So I'm curious about, what did you both do to help you pass, to succeed?
Yeah, so then we basically realized that actually not being alone was the secret sauce, you say, right? There was the secret trick was to actually get a support network. So we collared you again, loads of other people, Gary from AWA, I think I even pestered him a couple of times, friends. I opened up a network of, look, I need some more practice on this, but then also hired an ICF accredited mentor coach, who I think we were meeting at one point like 2 or 3 times a week, right, Rafa? Because we wanted to get this done it quite quickly. Right. And so, but we had this logistical nightmare, basically. It was really hard because we were trying to schedule all of these things. We were then recording sessions with our friends and contacts to then pick apart with each other and with our mentor. And it was, trying to facilitate and teach some other sessions as well that Rafa was trying to do. And so, it was, I think in a word, it was hard, right?
Yeah, totally. And especially the time constraint that you mentioned, David, because you need to do a coaching session and then a mentoring session in a ridiculous small time. So we were really okay to do a 45 or a 60-minute coaching session, but then having to do it in 10 minutes, a full coaching arc, a full mentoring arc. That was the main challenge. So we started to book 10 minutes. I gave away, I set up a free link and said, I need to practice 10 minutes coaching and mentoring sessions. Just come here. And I had like 30 people joining. And I would record those 30 people and I would send to my coach and mentor and I would send to David to say, take a look. What can I improve? How can it be better? So it was as David said, a logistical nightmare to do this just with David and with the mentor that we hired.
Yeah, so we're going to, I know we have another, what was it like to go by yourself, but um, can you sum that up in like 10 seconds, what it was like to go so we can transition to what is it like to be in the cohort? Yeah.
Yes, I can sum it up, David, if you allow me, which is after I got accredited, and I was happy. My wife just barged in the room. It was like in the middle of the night. And I told her, the first thing that I told her was, I am more relieved than happy. Like this was so much stress and work by myself that I am more relieved that it's over than happy to get accredited. And that was how I felt the whole experience.
But I would add on to that the learning was still amazing. I learned more about my coaching approach during this process, but it was hard.
Yeah.
So my turn to talk about what it was
Now,
like.
Our turn to question you, more like.
Yeah,
Your time to
yeah.
talk. No way you're getting away with that easily. No.
Well, I'll tell you what
We'll
it's
let
like
you an easy one. How was it for you, Louria?
It was amazing because I had a family of people to help me. I had 25 people in my cohort, but it was very humbling because I thought I want to swear because I do that a lot. I was baddest person out there, and it was not. And there was so much growth, and it was amazing because I got to be able to start at a place with some amazing mentors, the Michaels, and it was just like. And to have someone ask me the right question for my own aha, and to work with other people who are just as talented. And I still, to this day, we have every 2-month calls. Some of these people are like my best friends now and they still help us out. So it was amazing to do that at a pace where I could actually learn. But I also had to put in a lot of hard work. I'm a lot. I did like 100 hours of coaching. It was a lot, but it helped with my growth. So it was amazing.
Okay, cool, thank you, Louria. You are breaking up a little bit, I think, for me. Hopefully not too much for everyone. Hopefully you can hear.
Okay.
So, okay, let's get into the nitty gritty. So what changed you? All right, what's the before cohort Louria and the post cohort Louria?
That's a good question that I tend not to want to talk about a lot, right? No, I'm joking. Before, like I said, I was just cocky and I thought I knew a lot. And afterwards, I was humbled as a person. I was able to listen so much better, and my coaching skills went way up. I realized that I was doing agile training and not agile coaching, and there's a big difference. I wasn't going by that Scrum book. I was using my strength and my edges to grow. Also got rid of some of that fear. Like, do I know what I'm doing? Because I'm rarely fearful. I wasn't fearful, but I was. So it was a way my emotional intelligence leaped by leaps and bounds of who I was. I had a stance and I knew where I was going, and I could read between the lines. Like I'm like a magical magician now. Like, I mean, I've had a lot more experience now, but I can see what people aren't saying so that I can ask that question that gives them that aha moment. So like it was before, when a leader wasn't listening to me, I was like, well, what's wrong with you? Now it was, I'm curious about what's really going on with them, because it's not about me. They have something going on. And that was a big thing. It wasn't about me knowing a bunch of stuff. It was about my stance was to help someone else. And so that's what changed. And I got a lot of technical stuff too. I mean, it was pretty awesome.
Cool. Okay.
Yeah.
So give us some benefits of the cohort, because Rafa and I, we didn't really have, we had a 2-person cohort, I suppose, towards the end. But come on, tell us the benefits.
And I didn't like too much of the guy who did it with me. Like, he was a knob.
Like I stated, you get a community of people that will always be there. They're there to help you. You get to work with them, and you get close with them, that you create a safe place where they tell you the truths to grow you as a leader, not call you out, but to call you in. And that's what a coach does. I had experts. Well, I don't like that word. I had mastery leaders that helped me by little tweaks. Like they told me one big secret was, Lisa told me, what about, so who cares if they're wrong? Let them be wrong and see what grows from there. Like it changed my coaching and I got more buy-in. Tons of accountability and practice, tons of, because we all need accountability and we need to practice and we need real growth. Personal growth, network of like-minded people, and just tons of tools. You guys get to share with that. So those are like some of the major benefits. And you know, like the certification, you get that, but it actually means something in this industry. It means that you understand coaching, professional coaching, you understand professional mentoring, facilitation, and you understand teaching and the differences of what they are. So when people see an ICAgile expert, companies recruit those people because they think of you at a certain level. And at AWA, we make sure you at that level by growing you and where you need to be. So, yeah.
Cool. Thank you.
Thank
you, Louria. For any questions, or should we let Louria off the hook?
Yes, please.
Yeah, she was good with us, so let's let him.
Could you give a summary in 10 seconds, in 10 words, but could you say it backwards, Louria? No, I'm joking.
No.
No, I have a summary. Yeah. I hope you can see my screen. So doing it alone, logistical nightmare, no feedback unless you hire. And even that, you need to also sort out the logistics. You go through uncharted territory. It's really hard to navigate a forest if you just have like a tiny flashlight and that fails sometimes. So it was pretty unknown path. We would send emails to ICAgile to validate what they were expecting from us and then reply and then brainstorm. And there were long waiting periods. And you are on this process without feedback and waiting for stuff. It was excruciating. Doing in a cohort, you have a guided process. So you have step-by-step feedback. You can literally see where you are in each of the competencies and also which level of that competency you currently are. And as Louria said, you receive like a map of secret sauces, like what are the really pivotal tools, aspects, or stances that can make your life much more fulfilling. I'm not going to say easy, but it's like how to feel better at helping other people and being yourself. And of course, weekly or bi-weekly calls rather than long unknown waiting periods.
Cool, thank you. Okay, so harder doing on your own, easier doing with a cohort. We're going to give a brief explanation about some of the things that you might get from the cohort. So I can't remember if it's Rafael or Louria. One of you said about this phrase of you go in as a tadpole, you come out as a lion. Not quite sure about that. Good. Doesn't make sense, right? When does a tadpole ever become a lion? But anyway, we get what you're saying.
Yeah. And also why we are doing our cohort in the first place. Because after training, assessing, and certifying more than 600 people in Agile team coaching and more than 300 people in Agile team facilitation, common feedback started to come back to us. And one of the most commons from the students were, oh, I love the course. It was a life-changing experience. But when I'm in the open, when I'm in the wild, I face some really dangerous beasts, lions, tigers, some people who are literally after my neck. And I have difficulties in applying what I've learned into practice. Maybe my company is not ready, or maybe I'm just doing wrongly. And even though we have a Slack community for everyone who join our courses so that they can exchange ideas and challenges, it's not the same as having a helping hand. And of course, we weren't available all the time for everyone who attended the course. We normally catch up with people, but it's different. It's a different relationship. And by first-hand experience, especially me and David, we learn how intense can be to go alone. And now ICAgile has recently changed the way you get expert accredited. Because of all those high failure rates, they were getting many people on those calls that were clearly not ready to get to the expert level. So they changed it how you achieve the certification. So the way you achieve the certification now is only by going through a cohort program. So because we really believe in this community, and as Simon was saying, we really believe the impact in the world that we can make with these principles, we said, you know what? Let's build our own cohort. Let's help other people who want to go through that path, and they should not do it alone. Well, in fact, you cannot do it alone anymore. But why not us helping them and also learning along the way? Just by building this cohort alone has been such a tremendous learning experience.
Thank
you. Yeah.
What's in it for them, David?
So the first of all, I think I'm going to talk about is about self-development. So the story I was saying at the start, that by doing this process, I realized that I was leaving my number one core value, which is, I've called it fun, but it's probably humor, right? I love having an enjoyable experience when I'm teaching or training or whatever I'm doing as a recipient, but also as the giver of these things. And by going through this process, and I think it was actually a session with, well, I know it was a session with Louria where we really hit the nail on the head with this, is that when I'm coaching, I'm so focused on doing it right that I leave the real David, somewhere else. And my sessions are completely devoid of humor. There's not an ounce of it in there. And yet when I'm me and a true me, it shines through, right? It might not be a good humor. You might think it's terrible jokes, that it's not actually funny at all, right? But it is still coming from me, right? And when I was watching these back and we were going through this process, I realized of the real David, the real identity that I have is just missing. Missing in those coaching sessions, only vaguely there in mentoring sessions, training more, but training it's more there, right? Because that's something that you can, I suppose, you have a framework that you're presenting. But when you're on the fly, and especially in a coaching session, I was maybe so focused on delivering it. And so it's that kind of thing. I mean, I'm not saying that you're going to find the same thing there, right? But it's about discovering maybe your identity as an agile coach, right? Who are you as a person, as well as developing a load of skills, right? So I'm going to pick on one of them. There's a framework where you are, I'm going to say graded, but you can place yourself on a scale from a beginner through to, I'm going to say, an expert. I can't actually remember the official term for it. Is it an expert? Proficient. Yeah. And so one example of this, for example, is in professional coaching on listening. So in the course, for those who have come on our course, we talk about the collective coaching 3 levels of listening, right? And so the beginner level of that, we would be focusing on taking people going from, say, maybe an awareness of those 3 levels of listening, sometimes being in level 2, but occasionally slipping back into level 1, to fully using and embracing levels 2 and 3 on listening, being aware not just of what's being said, but also what's not being said, utilizing their intuition, reading body language and other non-verbal cues. Right? And so it's that kind of transformation in lots of different areas in all of these coaching, mentoring, training, and facilitating. Now I'm going to hand over to Louria to give us a bit more info on, not on all of those. We're not going to go into all of the areas and all of the grading of those, if you like. But
yeah, so you can take the slide down for me, Rafa. Yeah, so sorry. A lot of people are asking, like, what are some of the elements? So one of the things, part of this is there's tons of hours of group and individual mentoring, coaching, and practice. This is something that you have to put into the time. So these are some of the elements, Jackie, that you're talking about that is part of this program, is actually taking you through what is mentoring to help you with agile teams and individuals. Also, you have to, like, a quest, a real life quest, something for you to do as an agile coach, and you will have to work with someone or yourself to be able to obtain it. And also peer-to-peer support and learning during and after. And you will also have feedback loops. How are you doing? How's everything going? We will check in with you. You will have lots of feedback from us and your trainer. But what I'm really interested in is, and I see a lot of people are in the chat, is what are we offering, and what will this program kind of look like? Half or David, can you tell us about that?
Yep. So our offer is, as we were talking, a 9-month development program. So this is completely different than attending a 3 or 5 day course where you may learn the fundamentals but miss the helping hand and the support group to really ingrain those skills in your neuron connections. And if you have been in the course with me, you know I love neuroscience. So we are talking about building habits. We are talking about making almost second nature to you. Understand, okay, I should be a coach now, and you flip your switch and you are professionally coaching someone and making those powerful questions that will uncover all the layers of the onion and will hit where it should land. Or you understand, okay, no, I'm a mentoring now because this is what serves the mentee better or the team better. So this will be natural to you, not only because of the support you're going to receive from us, but because of the hours of practice that we will require for you to do. So this program is not for the faint of heart. This is something that you will need to practice. It's almost like going to the gym. You don't get fit on the first day. You get fit with the consistency. So we are looking for progress and consistency through something continuous. And the brain doesn't love anything more than the feedback cycles, because you will know, okay, I got this right, so reinforce that narrow pathway. Oh, I got this wrong, so let me weaken this narrow pathway. And we're going to have 16 calls with the whole cohort every 2 weeks. At the end, we're going to have a 3-day, cross your fingers for all the vaccines and all COVID resolutions, a residential, and cross your fingers to be in Portugal, perhaps. It's a cheap and a really good weather country. I'm trying to convince Simon on this. Maybe
and the wine's good, so there's no convincing from me.
Yeah, and we can do surfing also. So lots of things in the package.
And drinking wine.
Not the two at the same time, Dick. And then, if not, a 5-day online residential. On top of that, you're going to have one-on-one coaching sessions with a professional coach. So not only the coaching sessions that you're going to practice, you are going to be coached by a professional. And you will have, along the program, 2 mentoring sessions, just to make sure that when you get into that call with ICAgile, you have everything that it takes and you blow their minds away. And we are really, really committing to this because we believe that we can, and we know how to get there because we have been through this path. All 3 of us have been through this path. What else? Did I forget something, everyone?
Just so you guys know, also, there will be sessions where you're recording yourself so that you can see how you're doing. So it'll be for each of the 4 skills, and then you'll get feedback so we can see where you are. You will start off with your agile stance of here's who you are today, and here's your growth journey. So you can see where you're growing. So at the end, you can say, here's where I started and here's where I'm going. And so you have to do it for all 4. We'll look over, you get a mentoring session, and then we'll do it again. So these are some of the things that you will do. And so a big question that keeps popping up, people are private chatting me for a reason or another, but we love to know what's next. People are asking Simon, like, what's the cost? What's the requirements? How do they show up? They're really ready for that nitty gritty. Like, how do I do this?
Yeah. So what is expected from you to apply? So by official recommendations, you need to have at least 2 years of practice, of real practice as an Agile coach. You also need to have the Agile Team Coach and Agile Team Facilitation certificates by ICAgile, because the expert is this next level on those fundamentals. The cohort will pick the fundamentals and bring it to a new level. It's not going to teach you the basics, and that's why it is required the more knowledge-based accreditations. You also need to apply and schedule an assessment call with us, because we want to make sure that you are in the right place and at the right time to do this cohort. We are going to run multiple cohorts. So if there is something that is still not there, and we say, let's do an assessment call in 2 months, this is what we recommend that you should focus on. It's better for you to have a joyful experience than to just struggle along and not even actually enjoying the program itself. And we ask for a commitment of 2 to 5 hours per week of practice. So the people who are applying or are thinking about applying need to make sure that you can fit those hours in your agenda, especially in your workplace, because we don't want you to practice with your significant other or during dinner time. And trust me, do not try this. I tried once, didn't went okay. My wife just screamed at me, I don't want a coach, I want a husband. So we are talking about bringing to the actual workplace, because that's where the challenge is. I'm not saying that at house there are no challenges, but this program does not cover those, okay? We are only focusing on the professional challenges. What else, my dear friends?
Can you guys please add your questions to Slido so that we can see them? Because there's some coming into the chat, and I'll answer them, but there's some really great questions that
yes, definitely,
coming in. And so
just before we head to the chat though, can we get some more detail on that? So maybe this is a moment for Gary, unless you've got anything to add, Louria, from what Rafa's just added.
Yeah, you can share my
This is your
screen,
moment,
Gary.
This is your moment. I feel like singing to introduce you.
Yeah, thanks, Rafa. Yeah, so for attending today, there is £100 off our early bird pricing, and to get that registered to your order, just let me know, basically. So my details are at the bottom there. I'll put them in the chat in a minute as well. You can email either training@adventuresofagile.com or call me on that number, and I'll be able to get you set up with that discounted pricing. Pricing as a whole at the moment, early bird is $4,999 if you're paying in one instalment, so all at once. If you'd like to pay in multiple instalments before the course starts, then it's $5,200. Tax may be applicable, but that depends on, obviously, if you're paying for it yourself. If you're in the UK, it will be. Outside of the UK, let me know, and I can speak to you about, obviously, how that works. But yeah, that's the price in full, really.
Thank you for that, Gary.
Thank you, Gary. Let's get to these questions. A lot of you have some very interesting questions. We'd love to hone in on some of these questions.
Yeah. While I prepare the Slido share, one thing that we probably forgot to add was this is exclusive cohort. So like, we are not doing the cohort with 80 people. We are building small class sizes so that we can actually support you and custom tailor the recommendations to you. This also happens in our classes, by the way. We have in the ATC and the ATF a max of 18 people, and that's basically, which is our limit of real feedback, and to be able to listen you doing coaching and doing the facilitation and give you feedback. So this is going to be the same experience in the cohort. You're going to have a small size group, medium to small size group, so that we can also support you much more deeply and customized. I'm popping up so many questions. That's awesome. So the bigger the votes, the thumbs up, it goes on top. So the first one is, how does this relate to CTC and CEC from Scrum Alliance? What's different? Well, I'm going to leave someone else to reply to this.
So just as a starting point, one of our code of ethics from ICAgile is that we would never speak down about any other courses. So I'm not going to start. No one's going to trick me into that. So it's been a while since I looked at those two courses into those two certifications. So I'm maybe speaking to something that is a bit out of date. I don't know if Louria or Simon know more. what
I
it
could
is
just
right
tell you
now.
the biggest difference is that you lead with a group. You'll have a cohort, you'll have people to help you through. These are mostly done by yourself. So, and it depends what you're looking for. So we all think, I see people all the time, I got this skill, I know it, I'm already good at it. When you go through these transformational, this is a transformation, you will change. I had years of experience when I first did this. And so the difference is when you can walk hand in hand, and one of the biggest benefits of being a true agile coach is you can ask for help. It is that you can also offer help. So that's the big difference, is that ICAgile goes about, and I don't know what they do, but I can speak for ICAgile. They go about the human way. They go about saying, who are you as a coach? And then they teach you the skills to go from there. Because if you can't recognize who you are, then it's very hard to lead someone else. Yeah. Otherwise, you're trying to manage them. We help lead and guide you. So that's a big difference for me.
Yeah, yeah. And it also links with the second question, which is one of the main difference from ICAgile. ICAgile is not framework or methodology dependent or focused in any, it's agnostic. We are talking about the main principles of each of the competencies that work in any kind of framework or methodology or context that you may fit in. So this is one of the main differences from ICAgile's perspectives. So tying to the second question, and the cohort will not focus on the technological or the methodological or practices about Scrum and XP and etc. It's focusing on how can you coach a team that wants to use Scrum, or even find out if the team wants to use Scrum or Kanban or any other time of framework. So it's not framework dependent.
One other point is I don't know what the renewal fee is, or I think when I last looked at the Scrum Alliance ones, there was a renewal fee. One thing that I love about ICAgile, and this goes for all of the courses as well, is that you take the course for the, I don't know, the team coaching course or the team facilitation course, and it works the same for the expert, is that there is no renewal fee each year. And you're not paying another $200 for your certificate to be renewed. Yeah, which other places do that?
There's an additional thing as well. One of the reasons why the AWA has aligned with ICAgile is also because of the community aspect. So the competencies which have gone into the classes and also the courses and also into the cohort programs, the expert programs, have been derived from members of the community, the wider Agile community, who have come together to try to figure out what works and what is a very balanced kind of approach, which actually works and is effective. And whereas as far as I know, the Scrum Alliance is very much a closed shop. So this is one of the reasons AWA has always been a very community-centric organization, community of practice, and so it kind of aligns in with that, that deep respect for sort of people over process, that community over the right way of doing things.
Yeah. So I don't know if you can consider these questions to be answered. If not, please let us know. A top one appeared, which is this for experienced Scrum Masters coaches, or is this relevant for someone who has worked in Agile but looking to get into coaching? Anyone would like to take this?
Does it have to be an or can we say and? Because the answer then, if we change the or to an and, is yes, I think.
Yeah. And what does experience mean? We said you have to have at least 2 years, and I think there's a big thing going on. It's just about coaching. It is about coaching a team through a transformation or through something. It's different to coach a person than it is to do group coaching. And you're going to be coaching them and switching hats. It's knowing when to take off your mentor hat, your coach hat, your teaching hat, your facilitation hat, to put on your human hat, to look beyond and see different things. Because you can have an ICF accreditation, but that's different than an Agile team certification. You're looking through a different lens. So if you're asking these questions, then yes, you do need this course, because it is coming in with the open mind of a beginner's mindset. And so I always come in, I am always learning. I learn from these questions. And that is where, if you think you know it all, you need this course. I went in like that. Okay. So is that there's so much growth. Agile coaches are always learning, always. I mean, when I'm on calls with Simon, he's like, oh wow, I just learned something. We're all like, oh wow, we just learned something. And I'm on there with people who have tons and tons of experience. And that's a big difference.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you very much, Louria. Question from Vitor. Do you approach systemic team coaching? Louria is just profusively, no, like, how do you say, like, with intensively nodding her head, yes. Just replying, yeah? Yeah, yes. Yeah, we will. Because a team is a system. So not only the individual and the person, the group and the team, they are a system. And sometimes there are systemic issues in place also. We are, of course, making sure that the fundamentals are there. Because to coach a systemic team, you need to know the basics. It's almost like first you need to crawl, then you need to learn to walk, and then you learn how to run. There is a foundational aspect of some professional coaching skills. And of course, we want to solidify these foundations.
Yeah, this course is team coaching. It's agile team coaching. So yes, we definitely will. I'm going to cheat really quick, if you don't mind. The question that came up, I'm going to cheat. I don't follow the rules ever. How can we to our manager that the investment into this education is worth it? Him what is not working in his organization, and what is the vision he wants to go, and then plug in what the course can do. So if he's saying we're having conflict, people, execution problems, this course is going to help you figure out how to have teams have commitment, accountability, trust. So in all, it helps with productivity and things of that nature. So if you want to, you ask people what's not working and where they go, and I just hone into the middle. I always do that. I go in and say, this is how I can help you. And it's an investment. If they spend $5,000 or whatever, I can't remember what the cost is, but if they spend $5,000, the investment they can make is if they can get things to the market quicker, if they can have happier people and happier employees and happier customers, we work harder. We're happier when we come to work. So that's what an agile coach helps do. So he can spend $5,000 to make $200,000, $300,000 in a short period of time. So you should ask him, do you like making money? So then let's spend some money to make some money. So that's all. I couldn't help that one because I get that one and it makes me excited. I love sales, I think. But
yeah. No, that was solid. Could we throw a Jerry Maguire picture, like show me the money, or something like the Quans, like how the character was to say. Yeah. We are in a business environment, so we are talking about helping people, teams, and organizations do better business. The professional coaching, the facilitation, the teaching, and the mentoring are a way to unfold that. And by having more in-tune people, more happy or joyful or purposeful people and team members, not only they will feel better, but hopefully also do better business. So it's not about creating non-profitable organizations. It's about helping organizations achieving better results.
Afa, just to let you know, I am keeping an eye on these questions because there's one at the top there that relates to you. Don't think you're going to get away without answering it. Afa, how does it feel losing the goatee and having a mustache?
I can answer this, but do we leave it on the recording? Just leave it in the recording because this is who I am. So I was in a rush. I had to do my beard in the shower, didn't have a mirror. So I just started scrapping, and then I noticed, oh, I did too much. And then I say, okay, let me try for a mustache. And then I was able to do it. When I opened the curtain and my wife was drying her hair, she screamed. So that was the overall drama on that note. So
there's so many jokes I could make, but I'm going to resist.
When are you going to get your moustache, David?
Let's move on from the beard and moustache talk.
Okay.
Is there more questions, or does anybody have a question that we
There's
have?
a lot more questions. If you
Let's
didn't
go.
jump to ones that you just fancied, Louria, you know.
Well, that's what I do.
I'm gonna share it. So what specific feedback did you get? Oh, sorry, Louria, I was talking over you.
Oh, go ahead.
So what specific feedback did you get on your failure that most surprised you?
Great question.
I mean, I was pretty surprised with the statement. So I think there were two things. One, I really struggled with the timing. And I mean, I knew that I wasn't surprised about that. I knew that I'd struggled with the timing. I'd basically freaked out with this whole 10 minutes. Like, and my coaching sessions with in real life are 60 minutes or 90 minutes. They're not 10 minutes to try and get through that. And I don't have to get through for the Grow model, the ARC. I don't have to get through all of that, right? The pressure is not on me to do that because it's a coachee-led session. So to demonstrate it in that time was the main shocker. That was what really threw me, and was really hard to try and do, but has really benefited in lots of scenarios since. I mean, the feedback, it wasn't from that failure. Obviously, I've said about the lack of the human and not being the real me. But the one that really surprised me and took quite a lot of unpacking was about the advice as a mentor, and the differences between advice that is leading and advice that isn't, and how to actually give that feedback that is useful to the mentee without telling them what to do. Because I have a very non-directive approach. I would never force my view on people. And it was how to kind of do that dance where you're not telling people what to do, but you're still adding useful content into the conversation. Because as I'm sure lots of you, especially if you're classified yourself or considered an agile coach, people don't hire you for a non-directive coaching approach where you're just asking powerful questions. They ask you because you've got experience in this world. And so they want your learnings, but we don't want to tell them what to do. And it was that was a really hard thing. And so their feedback on that was quite surprising, about them wanting me to add more content and stuff like that. But
yeah, definitely. I think what scared me the most was the mentoring piece, where you need to, in 10 minutes, uncover what the real or the underlying issue is, present at least three recommendations, different recommendations, with the pros and cons of each in 10 minutes without leading. So that was a lot. And I focused a lot of my practice on those mentoring sessions. So yeah, in my case was that. I don't know, Louria, if there was something, you didn't fail your accreditation, of course, but anything that was like blown you away by the feedback you got through the cohort?
To the one thing that I got from David was that, well, not this David, another David, was my expert leader, was he told me to, when I do mentoring, to check with them on advice. Like when I give it, make it optional, and that it is not your job to make them see your way, but it is, and that's part of coaching, but it is to give the opportunity for those aha moments. And so for me, that changed a lot of how I approached the things, and it actually helped relax into who I was as a person. Trusted myself. I wasn't trying the next question, the next thing. I loved starting, like, I don't believe you fail, but my big thing, what I learned was how to recover, because you will fail in situation. It's how you recover, and that's what Agile is about. So I'm okay with failing. In order to be successful, you must fail. So definitely. It is, my key thing is how I recover from any situation.
Definitely.
Rafael, I do want to jump ahead. I know I just ribbed Louria about it, but there's some questions here which I think, one thing we should say is we can do some kind of answer after the session. We're not going to get through all of these questions, right? But we can post them out somehow. I'm sure Simon and Gary on some AWA forum, right? But there's one here that says, how do I get ACC and ATF? And hang on a minute, do I need to get 2 certificates for entry to this? Yes, you need to have done the team coaching and the team facilitation course before you can do this, because that's the basic teaching. It's more of a push rather than you actually kind of discovering your own style, your own identity, all of these kind of things. So yes, you do need to do them. And how you can do that is by going along to the AWA website. There are loads of descriptions about those courses on there. Again, you've got Gary's mobile number. He is available 24/7. Ring him at any time, wherever you are. He doesn't mind. Like, you're in Honolulu and it's like 2 p.m. Ring him up. It's fine. Doesn't matter if it's 4 a.m. for him. He doesn't mind at all. Do you, Gary?
Mm-hmm. No, I'm always here to help you. So feel free.
Yeah, yeah.
Gary,
So
turn your phone off when you're asleep. When you're in bed, turn your phone off. Leave a message if he doesn't answer.
Yeah. So may I choose some that kind of like go along in the same?
Yes.
I'm assuming it's go along in the same context, and not that does half a need to keep referring to my failure. Sorry about that, David. Well, we all.
I'm only joking.
That's it. I know. So there were a lot of questions asking like, wait, but can I be an expert by only having 2 years of experience, or does trying only make you an expert, or does trying once make me an expert? Expert means a hell lot of trying and failing and getting right and getting feedback. So I'm going to do an analogy to surfing. I have been a surfer for a long, almost 8 years in total. And I go to the beach and I see 12-year-old kids ripping the waves like I never dreamed before. And you know what's the main difference between them and me, besides the age, is that they are there every day making 3 surfing sessions a day. And what they have in the beach? A trainer, someone who is filming their surfing and telling, you know, this part of the wave, you didn't hit the core part. Your right shoulder was out of place here. So it's not just trying. You may be a natural talent and you just got there only trying. But if you look at every Olympic god, every athlete that achieved a level of amazingness, they all have trainers. This is why when you go into professional coaching, they all advise you should continue to have a coach, because you will always have black spots to work on. This is why I am hiring a surf coach, because I want to mix coach and surfing. I hired a surf coach. I apply it to be an instructor of surfing, because I want to know what is there to really help other people to unlock their potential. So trying is one thing. Trying with support, with a lot of failures, but learning from them. Trying with other mentors, helping you understand why are you failing and how you could succeed. That's what makes an expert. Or you are a natural born talent, and even natural born talents like Michelangelo and Leonardo da Vinci, they all had mentors. They all had people who at a certain point in their history said, this is where you should focus. This is where you need to polish. Practice this. Do this 300 times. Sculpture a piece with your eyes closed. Sleep with your violin below your bed. So you can only get so far by trying alone. And this is what we...
I'm sorry. It was passionate that I was like, I got caught up in, yes, I don't know if I want to join or if I want to be taught how to surf. I got so excited that I got caught up in the moment. Like I caught something, like it was just, I didn't mean it, I just couldn't, it just came out. I'm very expressive. So
yeah.
I thought he was suggesting that Michelangelo and Leonardo da Vinci used to surf. I thought that's where he was going with that for a minute.
Right.
No, what really happened is that even my neighbor on the other block heard me, and now he also wants to join, because I was talking with so much passion that my entire neighborhood woke up. So
what I love what you said is No, you need the experience, but you have to have the will, the want to try, you want to learn. You have to have that open mind, be able to be molded, or just little, little twerks. Michael Jordan, which is one, I love basketball. He said, it was just a shot, they turned his hand this way and then it made a difference. He couldn't even play. He was the team. But this is what it's about. We want you to come in experience, knowing that in that the growth and the feedback that you're going to get from all of us is that you're going to go and grow exponentially. So I don't believe in the word expert. I believe in mastery, is that you're trying to master where you are going. Someone who says I'm an expert, I'm like, did you stop learning? So then people can pass where you're going. See, hours, it's like Rafa said, at that surf, right? And that you're spending those 3 hours every day and you're practicing your skill. And it's not a lot of hours that we're asked. I know you might be shocked, like, wait a minute, how many hours? You're saying all these hours. It's things that you're going to be doing because you're going to have your own team going to be working with. So it's not that you're going to be doing that and you're going to be using what we're teaching. So no, you don't have to be an expert. Please do not come in here an expert. Because then you will start learning. Do not come in here with expert mentality. Come in here with mentality.
Yeah, I can vouch for that, Louria, right? There are some that have got quite a lot of high votes that we could maybe try to power through so that we can answer as many as possible. So there's one here that, are there any stats about that this accreditation helps you get employed? I doubt there are, because how would we get those stats specifically for a course? But
Simon?
Yeah, so this is an interesting one, because if you think about the last time you were employed, when was the last time you went and got a job and sat down in that interview room? Was it because you had a certificate on your CV you got that job? Unlikely, especially for an agile job. The reason you got that job is because you exuded that you knew what you were doing, that you were able to do that job and you were going to show up and make a difference. And that is what this cohort will give you, that ability to make that difference, because it is experiential. You're doing that work. You don't have to go there and say, oh yeah, I did this, that, and the other. You've done it. You've actually been there, done that on the cohort. So in terms of statistics, I've worked with literally tens of HR departments on their hiring process for agile teams and agile people. And we have done actual analysis around those people who have done the actual training, not specifically this cohort, but certainly the coaching cohorts, other programs like this, people who have taken the time to go through experiential training and mapped that into those people who do well in the experiential part of the interviews. And there is a direct correlation between those people who succeed at interviews and those people who have been on these types of AWA classes. So, and that is with hundreds and hundreds of data points across multiple industries. So I don't have that in a tabulated data form, but that's my experience of what it takes to get a job. And it certainly can't hurt to be one of the probably less than 50 at the moment, maybe less than 100, not exactly sure of the numbers, of the people to have an ICAgile, which is the leading certification authority in the wider scheme of Agile, to have that expert knowledge on your CV. It certainly can't hurt, that's for sure. That's my take.
Obviously, if anyone else has stats, feel free to share them if they ask that question because they know something we didn't. If you don't want the accreditation or certificate, but you want to participate in the cohort, could you? Yes, you can not bother taking the certificate, of course, yes.
Yes.
What if you have the enterprise qualifications and the ACC, so you're missing the team facilitation accreditation? Do you still have to do the team facilitation to apply for the program? Yes.
Yeah, they're different. They're different skill sets that when you work at the enterprise level versus the team level, you use different skill sets. You talk to an executive and how you talk to a team, they're not the same.
Cool. If you try once, are you an expert? I feel I have answered that. He's already addressed that, right? Assume being in a contract or employment as an agile coach needed to make this cohort work. So as we were saying, you need to be practicing this in the real world. If you are not working at the moment, then it's going to be very hard for you to get the experience in a team situation.
Yeah, you need to coach a team. You need to be able to coach a team. You need to have to be able to practice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That
I'll
would
just get-
probably, yeah, sorry, Simon. Maybe we are thinking about the same time. That
You go, you're the host.
I believe that not currently working is the least of the requirements, because we can always or try to support you in finding some place where you can practice. It will, as Louria said, make it more difficult for you to squeeze in the hours, because there is only a certain amount of learning that you can do with role play or simulated scenarios. In theory, practice and theory are the same. In practice, they are different. So nothing beats the real world practice. So, but if you are like truthfully, and I want to join, but I'm not employed right now, please talk to us. Let's try to understand the current situation better, okay?
Yeah, we don't want to exclude people who can benefit from this, because obviously then you get caught in a chicken and egg, right? You don't have a job, and therefore this could really help you. So yeah, talk to us, I suppose, is the general answer.
And the other thing I was going to add is that some of the people doing the enterprise expert cohort, there's pro bono work. There are so many organizations out there who need the kind of these kind of skills. As I was saying when I did the intros, what our world needs more sorely than anything is people who don't have such big egos, who are able to facilitate spaces for teams to grow. And there are so many organizations out there who simply can't afford the kind of services which you would provide. So if you're not in a job, perhaps you could think about doing some kind of pro bono work, which would benefit you hugely. Be on the cohort, do that kind of stuff, and give back to the world.
So harder, but not impossible, is what we're saying, right?
My mind always goes to something different. And I'm being a rebel again. That's what I do. I'm trying to read the room, because we've been talking at you guys have been communicating with us, but I would love for the people who stayed this long, is there something that you have a question on that maybe we could coach you really quick in the next 5 minutes, or give some type of advice so you can see how this changes? Does anybody have a question or anything for the people here? Just take yourself off mute and ask a question. If not, we'll continue with the Q&A. But Agile coaches aren't shy either. Okay, go ahead.
Well, I'm just curious. I put a question on the thing, but I'm just curious, David, when you were saying about, the biggest challenge for you was that 10 minutes. And that's something that comes up all the time when we're doing the courses and you've got 10 minutes to do whatever. But how did you resolve it? How did you get better, or did you sort of have to learn a technique to do it? How do you get through the arc when you've only got 10 minutes?
Wow. And if I could describe that in a minute, Kay, we wouldn't need an 8-month program. First of all, I needed to make sure I could actually do stuff in a time, right? And get a timer and actually look at what I was doing. But yeah, there are loads of techniques. There's loads of methods. We're going to share these with people throughout the courses. We're going to build on those. But it is really hard. It's a really hard thing to do, because as people who've been on the course know, and Kate, that actually we could spend a lot more than 10 minutes. We could spend 60 minutes honing in on the thing that people want to talk about in the session. So, and again, we're not saying that every coaching session from now on for me is going to be 10 minutes long, right? But it is, how can we be so skillful that we can get a coachee to hone in quickly on what it is that we're actually talking about in this session?
Yeah.
And obviously there is value in spending time exploring those. We're not saying that we should rush over the goal and the reality and all of those things as we talk about in the course. But there is a way of doing it if you do have only 10 minutes. And I question this quite hard, obviously, in my response. I wasn't being a sore loser in this, but I questioned ICAgile and saying, well, but I don't have a 10-minute time limit, right? I've got 60 minutes or 90 minutes. I mean, this is what I'm doing in the real world. And they said, yeah, but you don't always have that time.
Exactly.
As an Agile coach, you might only have 10 minutes. What are you going to do in those situations? Just say I can't do it because it's not 60 minutes? No, that's not acceptable.
Yeah.
And okay, I would add what I learned was you're with a team. You may only have 2 minutes, but you have to coach them through to hone in what are they really saying. And so sometimes you pick something, like I'm trying to do a 10-minute session, I pick something that is not the big mountain they're trying to climb. But what is that one thing that they might be trying to do? For your practice sessions, you try to over. Plus, you get to choose those 10 minutes. So the difference in the cohort, you can take a 60-minute call and you slice it up into 10 minutes and pick your best parts that actually show your competencies. So when I did it, we didn't have to do it the way you did it. And you don't have to do it in this competency. You do a 60-minute, you slice it up and you show us competencies so that we can see it. But we will have you practice 10 minutes because it's a good skill to learn of how to talk to somebody quickly and understand and listen and ask the questions that, get them to where they need to be. So breathe a little bit on that part. He had to do it because he did it by himself. You don't have to do that. Yay.
But also yeah, right. Also, it's not necessarily about another thing I was doing with asking about the surprising is I focus a lot on the problem rather than the person still quite a lot when I was doing some of these, because again, I was in that time scale and I was like, okay, what is the problem? What's the problem? I've got to get this done in 10 minutes. And again, it's just kind of reminding yourself that that's not your position as a coach.
Yeah, and speaking about time, it is time to close.
Yeah.
So any last words, Mr. Simon Powers, Gary, Louria, David, and myself? Who goes first?
I'll go first, quickly. I'm looking forward to these interview/assessment calls, discussion calls. We haven't actually got a name for them yet, but these 15 to 30 minutes, if this is something that is interesting you, looking forward for us to discuss what it is that you're looking to get out of it. So hope to see some of you there soon.
Yeah, thank you. I look forward to going on the journey with you, learning, growing, challenging you and calling you in, even though you'll say you're calling me out, but also celebrating your successes. So thank you.
Me too. I would love to co-learn with you, because the essence of a cohort is that it's a collaborative learning experience, even for us. So we are really excited to start this, because I know that I will grow a lot also. And if other people can grow together and we can literally make pieces of the world better by knowing how to help people better, then it's truly bliss. Like I'm grateful for it. So see you soon.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for everybody's time, for our leaders here today who has kindly given all of this information, and for all of you who have stayed the course for this fantastic evening. So thank you all for your time, and let's really make a difference. Thank you. I look forward to seeing you all soon on other meetups and also on the course, of course.
And Gary looks forward to speaking to you at any time at all during the day.
Yeah. I'm here when you need me. I'm here when you need me.
Cool.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you all.
Thanks, everyone.
Nice to see you, dear friends from around the world. See you soon. See you somewhere. Ciao, ciao.